It's game day. Get your horns up. Little kegs and eggs action going on this morning. Got an 11 o'clock kick for a top 20 matchup between Texas and Vanderbilt. The Longhorns back home for the first time in 42 days. And we'll talk to you about it here before things get started. I'm Jeff Howe, joined by Jerry Hamilton and Bobby Burton live on the 40 Acres. I want to thank our sponsors for not just the Tailgate Show, but our coverage here all day and on Texas football. Hargrove Roofing, our friends over at Hargrove Roofing are the sponsors for this Tailgate Show. And I want to thank Von Lane, Tito's Handmade Vodka, and Flight by Yingling for sponsoring our game day coverage. We're with you right now. Coming up at 11 o'clock, Aaron Hogan is going to host the watch with us. Jerry and I will be involved with that. Rod Babers will hop on. Coach Bob Shipley will be on for a little bit. Then immediately after the game, Bobby and Rod Babers will bring you our post-game coverage, win or lose. The post-game shows have been lively lately, so I expect no different today based on the result of this one. Bobby, I will start with you. I was thinking we were going to have news to break here with the 90-minute injury report, availability report coming out, but last night, Arch Manning off the injury report, off the availability report. You're reporting this morning. Everything, Bobby, sounds like Arch Manning will start this game for Texas today.
Start for the Longhorns today. We totally believe that and have been kind of confirmed that. It's been reported elsewhere. I also expect Cole Hudson to be your starting left guard today with Connor Robertson going at center. We'll see if that shake-up changes any kind of output difference in the offensive line. They've been it's been a carousel at the left guard position, but Hudson coming off of the injury list earlier this week. He's been working at left guard in practice. We'll see what that means. Michael Taft remains doubtful for this contest. Pete Thamel of ESPN reporting that just moments ago from ESPN. All in all, Texas is a lot healthier than maybe we thought they would be headed into this contest 6 days ago, right? I mean, when we first looked at it, Arch has a concussion. Hudson hasn't been back. We knew Taft was just off surgery. They get two of the three starters back. Now the question, Jerry Hamilton, is what exactly can Arch do and not do after having a concussion just a week prior? What kind of player does this make him?
Yeah, that's what's going to be interesting to me is, you can't tell a guy to turn it off, right? And guys that play physical football, and he does play a physical brand of football, running the football, and it doesn't mean he doesn't slide when it's obvious slide situations. But if it's a 3rd and 5, I mean, and he needs to get 6 yards, he's going to make a physical play. He's done it his entire career to try to get that 6 yards. And so that's kind of the question I have with Arch and with Sark from a play calling standpoint, because look, these are all must-win games after you take 2 losses. So this is a must-win game for both teams today. And so what does that mean for Sark in the way he calls plays, what he does for Arch? Do you kind of limit any QB design run stuff with him around the goal line? Or is he cleared and we're just rolling with it and whatever happens, happens? I think it's a play to win game. It's hard not to coach to win the game in terms of QB run when you got to call it. But then from Arch's perspective, look, Arch you can't take the aggressiveness out of an athlete's hands and out of his mind, else that's not the same player. But it'll be interesting to see how mindful of that he is between him and Sark, and kind of how Sark calls this game, how Arch goes about playing this game. But and look, there's a lot of guys that aren't healthy. Obviously, Diego Pavi's beat up too, but there's one guy that's coming out of the protocol for this game that we know of. And like I said, it'll be interesting to see how Arch kind of approaches contact in this game and how Sark approaches calling plays that will result in contact for Arch Manning.
Yeah, Jerry, that's one of the first questions we got in the chat today from Cisco Diaz. Bobby, I'll throw this to you. Says, is it wise for him to start also will it limit his running, knowing he was previously in concussion protocol? Jerry hit on a lot of that, but Bobby, I go with the old Dennis Rodman quote from Chuck Daly. You don't put a saddle on a Mustang. You just, if he's good, you just got to let him ride. Mm-hmm. And to Jerry's point, though, Bobby, Arch 99 times out of 100 has been a really smart runner. The one time he wasn't was really the one time he couldn't afford to be. When you're in overtime and you're fighting for your life, you kind of throw caution to the wind a little bit. So I would think, Bobby, if he's out there, there will be no restrictions.
no restrictions, but that doesn't mean you can't be smart, right? And that's what is going to be called upon. And we got to remember the other thing here is not just his running ability, Jerry and Jeff, but Arch has been a warrior inside the pocket too. I mean, he has stood and delivered. I mean, it's not always been pretty, but we all know that one of the better assets he has as a quarterback is being willing to taking hits and still trying to deliver the ball. Does this injury affect that? It's not just the running piece of it, but I certainly think that they would be probably a little smart with him. I also mentioned this in this morning's article on Texas Football. What about him in the red zone? First touchdown they scored against Mississippi State's Arch off of the left tackle on a keep on a power play. I mean, do they even attempt that sort of run today? And my answer is most likely not. I mean, so it takes away an element of your run game in the red zone. So there are multiple aspects of this that we're going to have to wait and see what exactly transpires. But whether or not it's wise, look, this is his team. It's not Matthew Caldwell's team, guys. And if he's ready to go, then he's ready to go. If he looks wobbly, if anything comes up amiss after he gets popped the first time, they should go immediately to Matthew Caldwell. I'll say that. So if he looks like he's a deer in the headlights or something's not processing fast, then you need to move to Caldwell quickly. I think that will be the ultimate key to all of it.
The other piece to this is Nick Rinaldi, a blitzing linebacker, a gap blitzer for Vanderbilt. Do they try to get the early shot on Arch and test the waters and see where he's really at? I think that's interesting too from the Vanderbilt perspective. Is you can't change what you do defensively. You can't change your game plan defensively. But what you do want to see and what you want to test is if you hit him on the first series, how does he react and what happens after that? I mean, I think that's a big piece of this.
I've got a special guest here for folks. This is Brandon Huey,
What's up, Brandon?
Hey, Brandon.
And his son, Ezra. Say hook 'em horns.
What's up, Ezra?
Say hook 'em horns. There we go. We're at this tailgate. It's going to be fun. Thanks, Brandon. Thanks, Ezra. Good one, buddy. Hey, we got about 50 to 100 people out here at the tailgate. It should be fun. You mentioned kegs and eggs. There's more than just that here. There's donuts. There's bacon. There's everything in between, as well as some adult beverages going on. Guys, there's Arch warming up this morning in pregame. Should be interesting to see just exactly how he can go. I will say this, Jeff and Jerry, there was a little bit of rain this morning already. Just not much, but just a little. So we'll see it. MJF says, since Caldwell practiced with the one some this week, do we see a package for him even if Arch looks okay? Maybe.
In the run game, could it be a red zone run game situation, Bobby, where maybe you take Arch out and Matthew Caldwell becomes that guy? I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I thought MJF has an interesting thought that if you want to limit – look, Arch's injuries have all been head leading, not getting sacked. Okay, the Ohio State was head leading, dotted. Last week, getting a first down, getting extra yards, dotted from behind into the ground. That's interesting. We'll see if Sark pulls out something today, because this would be the time to do it and limit Arch's head-to-head collisions in this game.
No doubt.
Team, I was told Arch took all first-team reps, by the way, on Thursday.
Yeah.
Now, to your point, early in the week, Caldwell obviously took some first-team reps when Arch could not practice. So good stuff there, Jerry.
Jerry, before we go any further, let's thank our lead sponsor for the Tailgate Show, and that's our friends over at Hargrove Roofing.
Yeah, thank you very much to our friends over at Hargrove Roofing, with offices across Texas, including Austin, as well as Louisiana and Arkansas. Hargrove Roofing will take care of all your roofing needs, plus they're Longhorn friendly. With partners like former defensive tackle Stevie Lee, they're the most pro-burnt orange roofing company out there. No one wants to turn their home over to a company they can't trust. So call Hargrove today for a free, no strings attached roof inspection. Just call 512-645-3202. Hargrove Roofing, know who's on your roof, and Stevie Lee will come talk to you while you're getting your roof put on.
And Bobby, let's go ahead and give a shout out to another one of our fine game day sponsors, our friends over at Tito's Handmade Vodka.
Do that, Jeff. I appreciate this. Tito's is a new sponsor this year, and we've loved them. Appreciate them very, very much. Tito's Handmade Vodka, official sponsors of the Texas Longhorns, as well as on Texas football. Distilled and bottled by Fifth Generation Inc., Austin, Texas. It is an Austin original, 40% alcohol by volume. Savor responsibly here at your tailgate or wherever you drink your vodka. Tito's Handmade Vodka, proud sponsor of the Longhorns and on Texas football.
All right, joining us live from inside DKR is CJ Vogel, our boots on the ground. CJ, we saw a little clip of Arch there slinging the rock around. What's it like inside the stadium right now as we're about approaching 90 minutes until kickoff?
Yeah, they've yet to start the 90-minute countdown, so maybe obviously one of those 11:15 kicks here on ESPN, but look, it's starting to fill up. Student sections, they're overcoming their Halloween festivities from a night ago. Arch Manning's been out here for about 15 minutes now, slinging the rock right now to some wide receivers. I'll try to get a view for you guys. Can't see a whole lot. I'm up in the nosebleeds. It's raining quite a bit, or it was earlier. But you see him out there slinging it on the lane.
Bobby, you're muted. CJ, you're muted. Everybody's muted.
I think CJ had to be muted because the audio system at the university just cranked up. It's probably the 90-minute mark now. CJ are close to it. They start testing the audio in there and get it cranked up and playing some sounds. We'll hear from CJ whenever he gives us the signal to go ahead with him. But hey, Jeff and CJ, or Jeff and Jerry, it's interesting. This is a big tailgate atmosphere today. This is the biggest of the year by far. Yeah. Not that that should be too surprising, but even more so than the first game of the year. There's more tents out here. It's going all the way down to 29th Avenue or 29th Street from Robert Dedman over. It is a lot of tent setups today around here. So exciting game. We'll see what happens.
I wonder if this is the first time, chat, anybody can find this out. Is this the first time an SEC team's SEC home opener has been in November of a season? I can't imagine that ever happening before. I mean, that's saying something for the tailgates, the fan base for Texas. They've been away 42 days, but to have your SEC home opener in a season November 1st, I can't imagine that's happened before. Not since they went to 12 teams or 16.
Yeah, it's crazy, Jerry. You mentioned that because we were talking last week about the third quarter rolled around in that Mississippi State game, and we're all thinking Texas is headed to 5-3. And the questions start coming at me like, has anybody ever not played a SEC home game and already been out of the conference race?
Right.
I mean, because that would have been the case, right? It's certainly late to play a conference game at home. This be your first conference game at home. Obviously, this year OU was a home game, so that played into it. And frankly, every other year that will be the case. But this one felt like an anomaly. I believe when the SEC goes to a 9-game schedule next year, this won't be an issue for Texas or other teams moving forward.
The chat comes through. This is the first time it's ever happened in the history of the SEC that a SEC team's home opener is November 1st.
Yeah, and to your point, Bobby, when you've got 16 teams with an 8-game conference schedule and you're trying to, as well as you can, effectively as you can, create equity across the board, you're not somebody in some way, shape, or form is going to get the short end of the stick. And for Texas, it was having a front-loaded road schedule. Whereas you look at Texas A&M and Missouri, two teams that are right in the thick of this conference race, their schedules were incredibly front-loaded with home games. They're going to have to finish this out on the road.
Mm-hmm.
There's some truth to that for sure, Jeff. Look, Texas has 3 of the final 4 games in DKR. It needs to be a decided advantage for Texas playing at home against 3 of these 4 teams. Of course, they still go on the road. This 2 weeks from now is a big one in Athens, Georgia. But after this one, we've got Arkansas at home in 3 weeks, and then finish up, obviously, the day after Thanksgiving against the Aggies, and what could be a major piece of news and notes about what happens with this season. Look, C.J. Baxter's status is fairly clear, guys. Right now, he is not on a pitch count, is what I'm being told. Yeah. Last week he was 20 snaps. This week he should be ready to go. We'll see if that opens up the interior run game at all against a Vanderbilt defense that has been kind of plucky and not giving into that too easily.
Jerry, I asked one of our great sponsors, one of our friends of the channel, Dr. Brett Robin, was on with us on the Wednesday live stream because you mentioned it, and I started piecing some things together. It made sense. You know, C.J. Baxter, we forget that was a multiple ligament knee injury, and with the hamstring issues he's had, when you have multiple ligament injuries, you got to graft those new ligaments from somewhere else. More often than not, they're going to take it from the hamstring. So, yeah, Brett did say, I mean, he didn't have any official numbers, but yes, there is a correlation between major knee reconstruction and hamstring problems. So it shouldn't surprise us that he's been kind of stop and start as he's trying to get back on his feet.
Yeah. And I it's weird. I've just happened to dealt with this with significant other's daughter who had an ACL tear and has come back. She's a freshman playing D1 beach volleyball. And you often do have the hamstring injuries from it because sometimes you build this, the quad and the hamstring kind of fire together. Right. And if one gets ahead of the other, then you can have some issues coming off those multiple ligament injuries. And a lot of times, they do take the graft. I mean, that's the reality of the situation. And you see that actually a lot with the major knee injuries. When they come back, they have a hamstring, not a tear, but they have a hamstring issue that kind of slows them down once or twice throughout that process. So it's not necessarily a surprise. By the way, I think it's a different hamstring leg than what C.J. Baxter had in high school. So it's something totally different. It's more off the knee.
No doubt. And Bobby, but I think bigger question in the run game. Look, Texas in conference play has the worst run game in the SEC statistically, averaging less than 74 yards per game. But Bobby, Texas getting Cole Hudson back, that may be just as big of a deal as a healthy C.J. Baxter in terms of just this offensive ability. I'm not even talking about get it up to where you're rushing for 200 yards a game, just something consistent where you can have the ability to run the football for 4 quarters. Texas hadn't had that in conference play yet outside of the OU game.
They really haven't. And whether that's been on the offensive line or the health issues at running back, I'm not sure, Jeff. But a lot has been at play. The problem that I think most Texas fans would say, here we are 8 games into the year and you're still playing, carousel with your offensive line numbers. Connor Stroh's healthy. Nick Brooks is healthy. NATO is healthy. Yet here we are 8 games into the season and you're rolling out a group that could have started the season together. Obviously, if Hudson would have been at left guard and Connor Robertson at center. So either there was a misjudgment at that offensive line early on what some people could do or how they could do it. I don't know. But let's see how this looks because, frankly, the offense has not looked great this year at times, especially in the run game. And whether that's personnel with the offensive line itself, whether that is the health of its offense, of its running back group, or even in the blocking the tight ends and the wide receivers on the perimeter. I don't know, but to your point, Texas walks out here with less than 74 yards rushing on offense. I think you could put an L on this one for Texas. They're going to have to establish a run game of some sort to support Arch Manning today. Otherwise, it just doesn't feel like it'll be a win. Maybe I'm wrong, but this is a ball control Vanderbilt offense. You give them the ball too long, too often, they're going to poke a hole in you somewhere with a guy like Diego Pavia at the helm.
So Vanderbilt is 2 running backs. The running back combos has given up over 100 yards in their last 3 SEC games. So that was Alabama, Jam Miller, Kevin Riley. That was Caden Durham, Harlem Berry, Juwan Johnson. Then last week, obviously, the Missouri game, Ahmad Hardy, Jamal Roberts, they went for 119. Even South Carolina, who hasn't ran the ball on anybody really this year, they went for 85. with their, or 82 to 85 with their running backs combined. So literally we're back in this same position we have been, where everybody else has had success to some level against Vanderbilt running the football. And can Texas have any close? If Texas had South Carolina's numbers with the running backs from the South Carolina Vanderbilt game, when Vandy, even though they won at 31-7 on the road, I think South Carolina running backs had 19 for 82, 20 for 82. If Texas could get into that area today, they're going to win this football game.
Because that probably means, Jerry, you ran the ball with some resemblance of consistency for 4 quarters, no question. Bobby, a lot of people in the chat are asking about this YouTube TV, ESPN, ABC, Disney issue. Well, it's a great time then to talk about our friends over at IP Vantage, because nothing kills game day like a blackout or a blocked live stream. IP Vantage VPN keeps your connection private so you can bypass restrictions and watch securely, even on public Wi-Fi. And there's more. IP Vantage Advanced can also get a secure browser that blocks trackers, malware, viruses, plus 1 terabyte of cloud storage to back up your files. That means your streaming stays private, your browsing is protected, and your files are always safe. Right now, On Texas Football listeners can save 83%, just a little over $2 a month for all-in-one protection. Go to ipvanish.com/On Texas Football. That's ipvanish.com/On Texas Football, or follow the link in the description of this episode. And Bobby, when you're watching the game, you might as well get some Tito's handmade vodka to go with it. Let's say, shout out one more time to our friends over at Tito's.
I love it. Tito's handmade vodka, proud sponsor of the Texas Longhorns, distilled and bottled by 5th Generation Inc., Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume. Savor responsibly. Again, Austin's own Tito's handmade vodka, proud sponsor of your Texas Longhorns.
All right, David Purcell, thank you for the super chat. Again, super chats always jump to the front of the line anytime we're live here at On Texas Football. It says Arch got pulled over this week. The team mindset is all gas. Bobby, I want to get your thoughts on this. If Texas wins the coin toss, I am team take the ball first. I feel like you're going to have the home crowd behind you. I'm expecting an inspired team. If you're Sark, be the aggressor. Try to jump on top early. Give yourself from advantage, which playing from ahead is something you haven't been able to do in conference.
Yeah, I'm not on this bandwagon. I've talked about it a lot. A lot of people want us to take the ball first. I'm all about the full game here, if that makes sense, guys. I mean, Texas has to be all gas, but look, we need some 3 and outs on Vanderbilt too. That's a way to get this crowd going, right? Is, put Diego Pavia on his back a couple times. But I'm playing the odds. I'm not an all gas guy out of the gate. As long as they win the game, that's what matters to me. And I think the smart way, it's proven over time, is to basically take the ball, start the second half.
Jerry, any thoughts on that one way or the other?
Yeah, I mean, look, I get the argument, the discussion argument. It's not really an argument. Discussion either way. I wouldn't mind taking the ball in this game, honestly. Look, you want a fast start. You need to get off to a fast start. The way you can get Vanderbilt into some issues they don't want to be in is if you get off to a fast start and if you make them play from behind. And so maybe you do that, kicking the ball to them and getting a 3 and out, and they punt it to Ryan Niblett and he returns at 30 yards or something. But what happens if Vanderbilt gets it and goes 12 plays and for 70 yards and ends up kicking a field goal? Then they have all the momentum in the game, or scores a touchdown. So, and then half the first quarter is gone as well, because you're having to react to option football and some of the wrinkles they're going to throw at you. So I get it. I get it both ways. I tend to would take the ball in this game personally, but that doesn't mean it's an every game thing. I think just this game for me. I want to answer this real quick. I mentioned this, Kyle Voshkas. What do we need to know about Briston Martinez? I put out on Texas Football this morning. He's a LSU 4-star offensive tackle commitment from East Ascension in Gonzales, Louisiana. I mentioned this morning on OnTexasFootball.com that he's a maybe to be at the game today based on what I heard yesterday evening. I know it's like, well, how does he know it's a maybe? I mean, this is the way some of these things go. But he's a guy that Texas offered way back, but he was a heavy lean to LSU the whole time through the process. He committed to LSU. But now with LSU, is it safe to call it turmoil right now? No AD, no coach, no nothing. That Texas re-engaged with Briston Martinez, and they're trying to get him on campus. Richard Anderson, they're also trying to get him on campus. The Edna Carr, 5-star defensive lineman. So we'll see if any of those things transpire this month. I think it's going to be a wild, bumpy ride for LSU commits. I mean, Bobby's LSU going to have a head coach without an AD? Is that where we're headed? I mean, this is an interesting spot for recruits that are committed to LSU and their families, because there can't be a high level of belief right now. And that opens the door not just for Texas, but for A&M and all the other programs that are going to try to swoop in and steal some of the best recruits in that class.
But you asked me what LSU has right now. They have a governor.
Yeah.
That's about it, though.
Call the governor and ask him what's going to happen.
They do have an interim AD, Burge Osbury, who's been tasked with leading a committee to select the new LSU head coach. They've inserted Frank Wilson, long-term high school coach in the state of Louisiana, as well as a long-term assistant at LSU, former UTSA head coach as well, as their interim head coach. Look, my point on this and my thought is they're probably going to go try to find somebody that's not going to bring his entire staff with them, right? They're going to try to keep pieces of that staff together, whether they're able to do it or not, whether it's Corey Raymond as defensive backs coach or Frank Wilson as a key assistant on that staff.
For sure. That's
kind of what they've got to do, I think, to keep this recruiting class together. But, even if they want Lane Kiffin, Jerry and Jeff, as long as Lane Kiffin is in the run for the playoffs, he's not going anywhere. He's not going to say he's going to LSU, Florida, or whatever. And, I just don't know what to say to that. And I don't know how they're going to navigate the waters. I think Joe Brady, the former LSU offensive coordinator, now the coordinator at the Buffalo Bills, makes a lot of sense for them. He was the mastermind behind the 2019 national championship team for them. But all in all, I feel like LSU, whether it's recruiting, portal, they're going to have to retain a bunch of players too. We'll see how all that plays out. But, hey, the Longhorn band is now warming up literally about 100 yards from me. I don't know if y'all can hear that in the background, but the game day festivities here taking on a little bit more lively tact right now. We're here at the on Texas Football Surly Horns tailgate over on Robert Dedman Boulevard. Stop by if you get a chance if you're on the way into the game.
Yeah, one more time, guys. Let's say thank you very much to our friends over at Hargrove Roofing, with offices across Texas, including in Austin, as well as Louisiana and Arkansas. Hargrove Roofing will take care of all of your roofing needs, plus they're Longhorn friendly with partners like former defensive tackle Stevie Lee, who you see here on the channel. They're also they're the most pro burnt orange roofing company out there. No one wants to turn their home over to a company they can't trust. So call Hargrove today for a free, no strings attached roof inspection. Just call 512-645-3202. That's 512-645-3202. Hargrove Roofing. Know who's on your roof. Guys, real quick as we start to wrap this up, shout out to Storm in the chat. Storm says, he's getting married today. He and his wife are rocking their Texas Hey Dudes. They plan their wedding around the Texas football schedule. All he wants is a Texas win. Guys, that's a bold move, Bobby, planning your wedding on a Texas game day.
And then all your anniversaries around that too. Yeah. Think of the decades of issues that you just walked yourself into, not just getting married, but around Texas football.
Yeah.
Well, congrats to you and your Storm. Guys, super chat here from Jeff Carey. Says, Bobby, no costume today. How hard is it predicting games this year?
Oh, in college football in general, it's wild predicting games. Like, all your betting guys are hovering right around 500 this year. Like, really. Stanford Steve, all these guys. College football is extraordinarily unpredictable right now in this year. And that's what makes it fun, because there's a lot of teams that still have hope, that never had hope before, and we've talked about this before. But I think because there's growing parity, maybe not at the very top, but there's growing parity in the sport. I think it makes for some wild rides. The transfer portal, how a quarterback can change a team immediately, take them from 5 to 8 wins. So he could play up over a roster. You look at what the quarterback at Cincinnati's done for Cincinnati. I mean, he's having a great year. He was assigned with Indiana. He's out of Lake Dallas High School. He's having a great season, 20 touchdowns, 1 interception, 450-ish rushing yards. But it's a wild ride in college football, that's for sure.
No doubt. Bobby, is it too early to get? Go ahead, Bobby.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just going. Sorry, as far as my predictions so far this year, I'm 8-0. If you go back to the preseason thing, I know Texas is 6-2, but it's played out similar to what I thought it would. I still, like I said in the preseason, guys, I still think Texas has some growth ahead of it. I'm concerned that this ding on the head to Arch Manning may be an issue. You know, it caused more delay than maybe you want today. But let's see what happens. Texas is not a great football team right now, but they're rounding into a really good team, a team that has a spine, a team that has some fight, and a team that's shown a way to win, win in variety of fashion, right? Whether it's in Kentucky, whether it's at Mississippi State with a big comeback, whether it's at OU where they just kind of overwhelmed the Sooners in the second half from all of that. But look, my thought process on it is it has been tough because the team has been tough to gauge. And I think most of that is because they're a young team. We can say a lot of things, but this Texas team is definitely young. It's made for some inconsistencies this year.
Bobby, you want to start a Texas fight chant or whatever you want to do before we sign off here for your final word?
Yes. Texas! 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 OU! There you go. That'll do it.
All right. Hey, don't forget, everybody, we got our game day coverage here all day on the channel. We're wrapping it up here with the Tailgate Show, but at 11 o'clock, Jerry and I will be involved in the watch with us. Aaron Hogan hosting that. Rod Babers will stop by. Coach Bob Shipley will stop by. Then immediately after the game, Bobby and Rod Babers will anchor our post-game coverage. Again, win or lose, that should be lively after a top 20 game at DKR today. I want to thank one more time Hargrove Roofing, our lead sponsor here on the Tailgate Show. I want to thank IP Vanish and our sponsors for our game day coverage here on the channel. That's Tito's Handmade Vodka, Flight by Yingling, and Von Lane. If you're not a member over on TexasFootball.com, get over to the site right now. You can sign up using the promo code OTFOG, and that'll get you 1 year of access at TexasFootball.com for $39.95. Thank you to Matthew behind the scenes for producing it. And again, thank you to all of our sponsors. Also, thank you to CJ. The stadium PA was not cooperating with CJ, so he only joined us for a little bit, but we do appreciate it nonetheless. For Bobby, for Jerry, for CJ, for Matthew, for the entire On Texas football staff, I'm Jeff Howe. Thank you so much for watching and listening. And until next time, hook 'em.